Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Growing Up in Scientology. Yesterday, Jeff Augustine published an article on his website. The website is called Scientology Money Project. And Jeff published an article that had a video he found of a Scientology executive doing an interview. And in the interview, the executive discloses the actual size of Scientology's international mailing list. Jeff managed to find this video, which had originally been published on another website called whattheythink.com. And whattheythink.com is a site that deals in market intelligence for the printing and publishing industries. And Scientology has a pretty massive printing and publishing operation. So on June 26th, just 2 days ago, this website published a 3-minute interview with an executive from the Church of Scientology International named Joel Beaton. And Joel is introduced as the Address Management Director of the Church of Scientology International. This interview took place at the IPMA conference in Louisville, Kentucky. IPMA stands for Implant Printing and Mailing Association. So at this conference, Richard Romano from whattheythink.com sits down with Joel Beaton. And like I said, Joel is introduced as the Address Management Director for the Church of Scientology International, which is a Sea Org position. Joel is a Sea Org member, although that's not mentioned in the video. It's not mentioned in the interview. Nobody watching the interview would probably know what that meant anyway. And so I was watching this interview video on the Scientology Money Project website and almost fell out of my chair when at the 20-second mark, Joel says that Scientology's active mailing list is 3.5 million people. And he says the list itself is about 6 million people overall, but the active mailing list is 3.5 million people. I have never heard anyone from Scientology ever disclose the actual size of the mailing list. Now, some of the people watching this video might go, 3.5 million people. Shit, that's a lot of people. I can't believe it's that big. No. Joel is in a lot of trouble. 3.5 million might be a large number if you're thinking, oh, gee, I wonder how many Scientologists there are in the world. But 3.5 million, when you compare it to how many members Scientology has publicly claimed to have, is nothing. And the fact that Joel gave that number publicly is a huge deal. And Joel is in a lot of trouble. The number I've had in my head for how many members Scientology currently claims to have is 10 or 11 million. So as soon as I saw the video, I just jumped on Google and pulled up all the references I could find. There was a bunch of references listed in Wikipedia that I pulled up. And I just put a little compilation together of the public mentions the Church of Scientology has made about its own membership. Here's a few of them. On May 11th, 2002, 17 years ago, Linda Simmons-Height, billed as the Media Relations Director of the Church of Scientology International, said that the Scientology religion has grown to 9 million members in 154 countries. The next mention is from August 7th, 2004. Greg LeClaire, just billed as being from Church of Scientology International, says, the church's popularity in the arts mirrors its overall growth with nearly 9 million members in over 150 countries. Okay, so we can see that in 2002, 2003, 2004, they were sticking with the 9 million number. Interestingly enough, the very next month, in September 2004, in an article in the Desert News from Salt Lake City, there's another reference here that uses 8 million. It says, according to Scientology headquarters in LA, the church now claims more than 8 million members in 159 countries. So at this point, they still can't keep their numbers straight on whether they're supposed to be saying 8 million or whether they're supposed to be saying 9 million. Almost exactly 1 year later, in July 2005, Beth Akiyama gives a quote to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Akiyama estimates there are 10 million members affiliated with more than 5,000 groups in 156 countries. All right, so they've gone from 9 million in 2004 to 10 million in 2005. So then I found a blog post that Mike Rinder had done back in November 2014. And the name of the blog post is 10 Million Scientologists, Where Are They? This blog post has a lot of great information about the various membership claims, how they arrive at those numbers, and so I'm going to read a few things from here. Mike says, corporate Scientology shouts from the rooftops that there are 10 million members worldwide, although this is the number that has been being used since 2006, so it's time for a new number. The Scientology spokespeople waffle about how they arrive at this figure, but it is actually not a mystery. Many years ago, the figure was pegged at 4 million, which was derived from a guess of how many names had ever been in any org central files, and then adding to it a theoretical number of how many people on average read a hardback book. But then in the 90s, David Miscavige told Heber Jensch that he was an idiot because he kept using the same figure, which meant that the church was not expanding. So then it became 6 million, and then it became 8 million, and then it became 10 million. And each time David Miscavige just pronounced that this was now the new figure. In truth, it is easy to know how many active church members there are. The IAS has an exact list. It's about 30,000 people. Now, the IAS is technically separate from the Church of Scientology International. They are at least legally separate entities. And a membership list of the International Association of Scientologists is not going to be the same thing as the mailing list for the Church of Scientology International. But let me continue with some more information here from the blog post. It says, there is another accurate measure, which is the number of people who attend David Miscavige's mandatory attendance events. Jeff Hawkins, Steve Hall, and others who have seen the figures know that the event attendance internationally is less than 30,000. And that is with all Scientology orgs and missions reporting their attendance within an hour of the event starting so that the report can go up to Miscavige before the end of the night. That figure has been below 30,000 since the 90s. But again, corporate Scientology will not disclose this information publicly. I'm skipping ahead. Mike says, a Scientology spokesperson finally fesses up. So how do you get anything resembling the truth from the Church of Scientology? Enter stage right, Graham Wilson, the PR aide for the Office of Special Affairs for the United Kingdom and senior church spokesperson for all churches of Scientology in the United Kingdom and Ireland. He was recently quoted in a major and serious newspaper, making a startling admission that confirms that all is not well in the world of straight-up and vertical international expansion. And even at that, Graham's statement was what he thought he could get away with, not the actual truth. A balance between what Graham thought the media may accept and what he feels public Scientologists may not cringe too heavily at. But again, let's take Mr. Wilson at face value and assume the best case scenario for the Church of Scientology International. And this is Graham Wilson being quoted in the press here. The church currently has 118,000 members in the United Kingdom, 15,000 of whom are active participants. All right, so here you have Graham Wilson lying and exaggerating, and even then his exaggeration is only that there are 15,000 active Scientologists in the entire United Kingdom. Mike continues. First, Graham has finally acknowledged that there are actual figures for members and active members. And of course, active members are the only real members. It's not even the same as Catholics that never go to Mass being called Catholics as a different category than those who do attend. No, this 118,000 is the total number of names that have ever made it into the central files. And that includes everyone who has ever bought a book or ever taken an introductory service. And it also includes anyone who has ever gone to Scientology's website and filled out the personality test. What's so remarkable about the 3.5 million figure that Joel gave is that he wasn't even claiming that there are 3.5 million active Scientologists. That was just his number for their mailing list. And even in the video, which is only 3 minutes long, by the way, he makes reference to all of the mail that comes back. So they still include bad addresses on their active mailing list. Miscavige and the people he deputizes to be spokespeople are out there telling the world there are 10 million active Scientologists. And then Joel sits down and in a 3-minute interview admits that their entire international mailing list only has 3.5 million members on it. So the number is remarkable for 2 reasons, one of which I just said. And the other reason 3.5 million is a remarkable number is it is exactly 100 times more than my most recent estimate of how many Scientologists there actually are in the world. I did a video a few months back called something like Proof of 35,000 Scientologists Worldwide. And in that video, I'll link to it down below. In that video, I just show my work for how I would arrive at a high estimate of 35,000 active Scientologists in the world. So I was a little amused when Joel's number for the active mailing list was exactly 100x the number of Scientologists I estimate there actually are in the world. Can you imagine? For every individual Scientologist who might actually want or expect to get mail from Scientology, Scientology is sending mail to 99 other people who do not want it. What an incredible waste of money. And I know I don't really need to beat these numbers to death, but let me just give a funny little example here of how Scientology's membership would work out if the bullshit exaggerated numbers that the spokespeople keep giving to various news publications were actually true. So let's go back to the Germany numbers for a moment here. This is from 2007 in Berlin. This is from an article that was in Der Spiegel. It says the organization has an estimated 6,000 members in Germany, but experts believe the church has only 150 to 200 members in Berlin. Well, the 150 to 200 members in Berlin is pretty close to the truth. It's going to be a little less than that, but that's not a crazy number. But there's only 6 Scientology organizations in Germany, which is actually a lot. I say only. Berlin, Munich, Hamburg, Stuttgart, Dusseldorf, and there's a celebrity center in Dusseldorf as well. So that's 6 churches of Scientology in Germany. For example, Texas only has 3. Texas has Dallas, Houston, and Austin. So there's a lot more Scientology going on in Germany than even Texas, which is just kind of interesting. In Germany, you know, the government on any given day usually has Scientology under investigation, and you actually cannot work for the government in Germany if you are a Scientologist, because Scientology is seen as a subversive organization by the German government. But getting back to the point, because there's only 6 organizations in Germany, we know that this 6,000 number that Der Spiegel mentioned, that's a number they got from Scientology. So let's just for a second pretend that we live in an alternate reality where the 6 organizations in Germany have a combined 6,000 members. Such a thing would never happen. However, just to do the little mathematical exercise, that would imply 1,000 members per church. There's about 200 churches of Scientology in the world. It's really closer to 175, but just for shits and giggles, let's say 200. So if you have 1,000 members around every church of Scientology, and there's 200 churches of Scientology in the world, then you only have 200,000 Scientologists. So even the bullshit number that every now and then a Scientology spokesperson will accidentally give to someone in the media is just a tiny sliver of what the number should actually be if there really were 10 or 11 million Scientologists in the world. What other organization out there just makes up membership numbers and puts them out just to look good, thinking that, oh, if I give a big number, people are going to think we're great? So head over to Scientology Money Project and watch that 3-minute interview with Joel, and then kiss Joel goodbye, because that is the last anyone's going to be seeing of Joel for probably a few years. If he hasn't already been escorted to the RPF, just give it a day or two, believe me. I don't know what was going through Joel's mind to publicly put out information that directly contradicts the membership numbers that Miscavige has been saying for years. Oh my God, he is toast. All right, well, that's all I have to say on this for now. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click